Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I am the Gentleman and welcome to the Gentleman's Pixel Club. Today we are playing Dungeon Master, and Dungeon Master is on the Atari ST, and this is the first game we have played on the Atari ST, recreated on the MiSTer FPGA. It starts off where you enter a dungeon, and we're at the entrance of the dungeon at the moment. We can click on the enter button or we can click on the resume button to load a save game. We have no save game, we're clicking on enter. And this video is a little bit different from normal because this is a tutorial on how to play the game. A 5-minute video would not have been good enough for this. So, to navigate around, to control your character, you use basically forward, backward, left and right, and then turn left and turn right. This whole game is an RPG game, and it's based on a grid system where you essentially have square tiles that you move on, one space forward, one space back. It really is as simple as that, but the game is far from simple, hence why this video is a tutorial video. This game may look crude in terms of current graphics, but I want you to bear in mind that this came out in 1987, so at the time of recording this video, this is 34 years old, 33, 34 years old. This is a true timeless classic. Many viewers of this channel may not have even been born at that particular time, but great game, fun game. The object here is you enter the Hall of Champions and you move around and you pick characters that you're going to be using, and that little window I highlighted with the cursor there is one of the characters we'll be using. So you click on him and you get a menu where you can choose to basically resurrect or reincarnate the character. Resurrect means bring back to life. Reincarnate means bring back as a new life. So we are going to be picking that option to reincarnate him, and we are going to think for a moment to give him a witty sounding name. This is going to be far from witty, but we're going to try and do this. We have to go through the Hall of Champions and we have to find 4 characters. You can start with 1 character, you can start with 4 characters, and once we've completed this level, and I want you to consider this as level 0 of the game, we are then going to go through into the first level, and you get manuals on how to play this game, as you will get guides and stuff like this. If you've not played this game and this appeals to you, the way I would like you to consider this is we are going to use this as a tutorial to play through the game. The screen at the moment, the bottom where it says Doctor and where I'm clicking on those icons is where you cast spells. So you click on the top items and those are elements for the spells, and you've got the back button to delete them, and you can also click on the wide area where you see Doctor needs more practice when I've clicked on this with the spell to actually do it. You learn the spells as you go through the game, and on the left right now is the little sheet that's from the manual that shows you what you need. We're in the character select screen at the moment, and although it's just disappeared, you can see food and water and things like this. These will be used as we go through the game. If you want to fight monsters, you click on the icon of the sword that you see and you get the option for slash or parry, and with that you can then do what you want. You know, you have a choice of whatever options it gives you with whatever weapon. Character placement is important here as well. So on the top right hand side of the screen, we've got 2 characters at the moment. I'm creating Father Frost, and those 2 characters can only attack monsters that are directly in front of them. You have a party of up to 4 characters, and when you have characters behind these characters, like I've moved the yellow guy there, he will not be able to attack a monster that's directly in front of him with one of the weapons that's in his hands. He can only throw something, he can only, shoot something, but there's nothing more that he can do. I'm navigating around the Hall of Champions and I'm looking for another character to have. So we haven't had this character, we've got 2 so far. Are we going to pick her? No, we're not, because there is 24 characters that you can pick in this hall. I was going to go for this guy. He has arrows, but he doesn't seem to have a bow, so we're not going to pick him either, and all he would be able to do is throw things at the back. This character here had nothing useful but a rabbit's foot, and when I click on it, you see just underneath the 3 characters above the spells a little description of what it is you've just clicked on, and that's going to be important as you play this game to learn what the objects are, what you need. This character we are going to take, because I remember this character, and this character was a wizard. I'm out of funny names to pick, so we choose Resurrect. And you can see the positioning of the characters that I'm moving around, dragging them with a mouse so they change position. And the colours represent their health, stamina, and everything else that you have on the top of the screen. So even though they're slightly out of order, what I've got, where you've got the Doctor, which is the green one, who's the second one along, those are their primary stats. But from a combat point of view, the positioning that you have with the coloured icons, that represents the characters that you're going to use. I'm looking for a character that reminds me of 4, and he's very near the entrance to the beginning of this dungeon, and here he is right now. So we're selecting him, Hulk the Barbarian, I think his name is. We are going to create his name into something else, and this is where I try and be witty, but not very good. So I'm not going to use 4 because Marvel might be upset about this. So he is going to be called Fud. Please excuse those bells if they come out on the microphone. That is a Ring doorbell that persistently loves to make noise when there is absolutely nothing there. Maybe I should do a review on how that keeps me up at night. We have our 4 characters, and bear in mind we are only on level 0 of the dungeon. We are going to be exploring this dungeon, doing quite a bit of gameplay, but we will not go any further than level 1. And the whole point of this is to teach you how to play the game, show you visually how to play the game without actually spoiling anything, because level 1 should be really classed as effectively the beginning level of the game. It breaks you in, it gives you an idea of what to expect. At the moment, while I'm talking, I'm just messing about on the screen, reminding myself of the controls. It's been a long time since I've played this. This guy here, Father Frost, he is carrying a torch, and where I'm circling at the moment is food and water. Those go down, and it is really important to keep your characters supplied with food and water. I've opened that grate by standing on a pad, and I've picked up an apple. And if you look when I picked it up, underneath above the spells, it tells you what it is. Holding it in the mouse button, I can hold it in the air so it turned blue like you saw, and let go of it, and it will literally throw it. So the throwing mechanism is very easy. You really just use the combination of the left mouse button with everything that you do. Putting things in people's inventory is a good way to carry a lot of objects, but you have clothing slots available, usual RPG stuff that you have, and you will explore this as you go on your journey, as you have a look. But these are the key fundamentals on how to use it, on how to play the game. So we are going to be looking at the item on the wall at the moment. This is a torch. You must collect these as you go. See, I put it in their hand and they light up. I take it away and it's unlit. If these run out, you've only got one option once you learn the magic spell, and I do show this in the game. I'm not going to go into too much detail about it because you've got to be a little bit eagle-eyed to see what I did there, but a couple of times I do use the magic spell to light things up. You need to watch your torches or you're going to have difficulty. This is water, and watch when I pick the water up again, it says the word water. When I hold it above a mouth and I keep clicking on it, the water fills up in terms of their health, and the food fills up in terms of their health. That water skin can go empty, and there is a way to refill this, which you'll see very shortly. Again, you've got to manage your water. I've picked up the scroll, and using the cursor, I'm taking it above the eye, and I click on that, and it gives you a little message here. Scrolls are so important to your success in this game. They give you hints, they give you tips, they give you spells, and without that, you are going to learn nothing. I played this game when it first came out. I completed this game when it first came out. I got down to the end level. Not going to talk about that at all. If you like what you see with this, and this really is a great Dungeons and Dragons RPG, brilliant game, I would ask you to do one thing for me. Do not look at spoilers. Do not look at cheat sheets on how to do this. This game gives you so much if you just explore it off your own back and you go on the adventure that it's entitled to. So look at this. We're going to read the instructions, and we've seen that. We're then going to take the scroll and we're going to look at the scroll. And this is why you must read everything that you get. So the scroll says, new lives for old bones. There's a clue there what to do with that object. And we're just turning around and we're exploring still the top level, because you would have noticed that we've got some stairs nearby that we have not gone down, and going down that will take us to the first level of the dungeon, which is where you're going to have, although I've been doing a fair bit of talking at the moment, is where you're going to have a primarily amount of the gameplay where we're going to be focusing on. This door here I'm opening by clicking on the little red button. It's nowhere near as easy as that for everything else, but remember, this is the opening level, the beginning level, where you can collect a few provisions. So we've got some cheese on the ground, we've got some bread on the ground there, there's apple, which is food. I think we've seen some corn as well already that you can pick up. I'm not too focused on these because this is a demo, this is a run through of this lovely game. This game did come out on the Amiga, it came out on a few other platforms, but we're going to venture downstairs before we talk about those. Straight down the stairs you go, and you saw a little red flash above the Doctor and Fudd. Those were the two people that are at the front of the group of 4 that you've got, and I clicked too quickly going downstairs and they ran into the wall. We're in front of another grate, and I've taken away the torch just so you can see the difference. And putting it in his inventory, going back, look how dark it is. And this is why light is really important to keep, because it gets very dark in these dungeons and it gets very hard, very dark, and you don't want to be in this position where you have no light. Yes, there is a spell, there is a spoiler in here if you watch quickly what I do a couple of times at some point to create light, but beyond that you're getting no spoilers here. I've put the torch back in the hand so we can see, and I'm clicking on the button and the grate is open. The mummy is coming towards us. Now, unfortunately, when I play this, I keep going into the inventory like you see me do by clicking on the wrong button. I click on the right-hand button to do this, where I should be clicking on the left-hand button on the weapons that are not grayed out to use them. And this is a mistake that I'm doing because I'm so used to current games. So forgive me, please, as we go through this video. I wasn't going to do a complete re-recording and do my best to keep it right. You'll notice that the Doctor is dead. And I did this for a reason, so we can pick up his bones to highlight the clue that you had. And it was basically new lives for old bones. So what we're going to do, we're going to head back up the stairs. And we are going to go to that little altar thing there. And watch what happens when I take the bones and I put the bones in the altar. Altar, yeah. Flash of lightning. Boom. And the character is resurrected. But notice the left health button there, his health is not fully up to speed. You know, that's midway down. So I need to go down, collect all his belongings, and, well, carry on the journey. To restore the health, what you do is in the inventory screen, you've got 3 icons, which I'll quickly point out when we're there. So you've got save, sleep, and exit, which was the little red X. If you click on sleep, you will go to sleep, and your inventory, sorry, not inventory, your health will go up. But what also happens is the monsters are still there, and they explore the dungeon as well, so they can wake you. So looking at the scroll again, what does that message there? Small details. So we're going to put that in the in our inventory. We're going to pick up a knife, which is a great weapon to use, which I show later on. And just have a think. What did that mean? Is there any clue that you can see here? Now, it's not usually this obvious, but what did that mean about small details? So we're looking there, nothing there, nothing there. There is the clue. So you click on that and it reveals a sword, which is hidden away in a secret box in the wall. And this is all really easy at this stage. You know, the developers purposely didn't make this hard. This is the introduction here. When you play this game, to the best of my knowledge, I don't recall there ever being a map. So a lot of things were done by hand when I played. And this was a true game that I remember where I was mapping this out. And if there was a map key, I certainly didn't know it. And speaking of keys, there's one on the floor there. So we're going to start to use the keys to explore the dungeon, because there is no button as I push there to go by. We have to take the key, drop it in, and you lose the key, and the grate goes up. So we can carry on exploring. And the beauty of this is you have limited view. You do not know what is round every corner. And you could think this is just a casual easy game, but it does get tense, it does get hard. But remember, I'm doing a tutorial. So we pick up the water and we drink it, and look at the name of the water. It changes from water to water skin. We can then click on that little fountain, go back, drink lots of it, and it goes back to water skin. So this is how you refill your water. Water is in infinite supply, but you've got to find the fountains in the dungeon, and otherwise if you don't do this, you're going to have a problem where characters die. I'm going to sleep there right now and look at the dots. So the green guy, his health is restoring, so that puts him in a reasonably good position. I can't remember what the middle band was, but the right hand band was magic power. So you had health, and so I really wish I could remember what the middle one was, but the right hand one was magic power. So when you do the spells, it will then drop. So we use the red gentleman to do some spells, and you'll see that drop. Fudd has no ability to do spells. As you can see, he doesn't even have a band for this. Playing on the MiSTer FPGA, this is obviously a recreated Atari ST, but perfect. And here's a new mechanism, levers that you can pull for things to open. And as I say, it's just the methods to get around the dungeon, things to use, things to explore. There's a trapdoor so there's a pit on the floor to the left there. We're going to take a look at that, and there's things on the other side. Go back, pull the lever, pit closes, and then we can go across and we can get the items. But yeah, this is just, I say, very, very easy version of the levels. We don't even complete level 1. So there's a little spoiler ahead of you there. I don't want to ruin anything for this game, but what I want to do is give anybody that chooses to watch this video the best fighting chance to play. So if you listen to the commentary, you listen to me taking you through this, this is going to go up as a gameplay video, but I'm going to mark it on the title card as tutorial as well, because it's a lot more than some of the regular ones I do. And the regular ones are basically fly, shoot, hit, shoot, whatever it is, die, repeat, and lots of die, lots of repeating. I'm not the best at games, but games like this where I had to think, I was pretty damn good at. I mentioned earlier, and I got diverted because I try and keep track of what we do, but I mentioned earlier, and I got diverted as we went downstairs, saying that this came out on the Atari ST. It also came out on the Amiga. It came out on the PC as well. So this was at the turning point where the PC, could do some reasonably good games for the time. The Amiga could do exceptional games for the time. The Atari ST could do exceptional games for the time, but, unfortunately, the Amiga was the better system for Atari ST owners. And as I've said before, I was one of the Atari ST owners that had that before I had the Amiga. But this game here, I think, and maybe it's personal, maybe it's nostalgia, I just don't know. But to me, this was the best game that was ever on the Atari ST, and more importantly, this version of the game was the best game that ever existed on any system. There's something that I want to talk about here, but it would give spoilers away, so I'm just going to touch on it very lightly. If you enjoy this game, if you're enjoying and you have fun with this, there is a editor disc that you can get for this, and people have created special levels. It was a Dungeon Master editor, and the Atari ST was quite good in the way that it saved the game, and the editor allowed you to basically recreate the entire map, which was done on save files. And look how dark it was when I toggled that torch off there. So when you saved your game in this, you literally saved the whole game. You had to load in the session, but the whole session was saved. So every single level of all the levels of this game was saved. All the positioning, all the monsters, all the health. And it wasn't a simple thing of, right, we saved some character stats and that's that. And the beauty of the Dungeon Master editor, it allowed you to recreate your version of this game using a really good toolkit. And the levels were absolutely massive at the best of times. And the way this works is, there were some phenomenal homebrews that came out. But that wasn't enough, so this was created by FTL, Faster Than Light. They never created the editor. That was a third party, and you saw a flash there for the Doctor and Fudd as I ran into a wall. This was created by a third party, the editor, but FTL created a sequel to this game, Chaos Strikes Back. But before we talk about Chaos Strikes Back, this is where the puzzles begin. If you notice, the door closed as I went near it. So I'm just mucking about in this room looking for something, and I found a rock. And I'm going to put that rock on basically one of the platforms, the triggers, to see whether that helps me. No, it doesn't. And I do figure out how to get through this. And, it's been a while since I've played it. you can't remember exactly the combination of everything you use. And getting this far through level 1, although you've not seen much fighting yet, and there is quite a bit of fighting that's going to still go ahead, because we're getting used to the controls, we're navigating, we're showing our way around, we're building up our characters in terms of not leveling up the characters, but because they don't really get leveled up from what I recall, but we are increasing their skills, their stats, and everything. So not the skills, their stats, their inventory, and everything they've got. And you need this. So this again is working through, getting the keys, put a key in the lock, and it disappears. I showed you earlier on that you can pick up objects, and like that sort of sign on the screen there, if you click the mouse button while you've actually got the dungeon view in front of them, it will throw those objects, and that is going to be key to fighting some enemies. Never ever forget that you can do this. At the moment we're just swapping clothes because say we're on the level 1 of a very, very big dungeon, and this is important to scale up what you can do. Remember, the characters had different inventory items. When we looked at the little guy, the hobbit I believe he was, all he had was a lucky rabbit's foot, and we're getting a few better weapons which we're going to need, and the level of the monsters do scale up, even though we only see a couple of types of monsters, and this was deliberate on my part by not progressing too far through this. You'll see right near the end when I start fighting some of these monsters, hang on a minute, those are a lot harder than what the early level versions were. And by the early level versions, it's so far in the level, but you've got to keep your eye open. I'm just picking up a key there, and you've got to watch very carefully where things are. Those little iron keys that you have there, the little silver type keys, are blend into the floor, and they can be very, very hard to see. This is easy stuff. We're just walking around, we're exploring the level using the direction commands, but you can get lost. The map is honestly absolutely huge for every single level that you have here, and these twisty turny passages, if you're not keeping an eye where you're going, you lose your orientation, you get yourself lost. We've been here, we're backtracking on ourselves. Everything is meant to be reasonably open because they don't want players playing this and think, oh well, we can't get any further, which leads me back to FTL, because they want you to get further. They want you to play the game, they want you to enjoy the game, and they did release a sequel of this called Chaos Strikes Back. And Chaos Strikes Back, I never finished. And these are slightly different monsters that I don't think we've seen before. Those are called Shriekers. And watch me take that dagger, and then I click fire, and it throws the dagger, and it goes and hits the Shrieker. You didn't see any points be taken away, and I'm stupidly clicking on the right mouse button when I shouldn't be doing, it should be the left mouse button. But when you fight things, you click on the weapon, and when I click on swing, if it hits it, it shows you the points in the window, how many it takes away. And this is a very easy monster to kill. Now I've killed it, it falls into food, because you can eat some of the food, which is called screamer slices. And any weapon, anything that you've thrown that is stuck into the monster, is then dropped at that moment. So that's the time you see me eat food, you would have quickly seen the food bar go back. And it's a management game, not a complex management game, but you've got to manage your food and water, otherwise things get terribly, terribly hard. So there is another Shrieker that we're going to fight again. So take the dagger, throw the dagger, let it embed itself into it, see whether anybody else has got anything that we can throw. So yeah, we can take that, and we can go towards him, throw the dagger again. Very easy to control, and he's died, and 2 daggers fall to the ground. It's not only daggers that you can throw other things. You've got rocks, you've got another type of throwing weapon that you very briefly see right near the end of this video. So your options are really, really open to you. I'm not picking up that food at the moment because we're just playing through. We're going on a journey to see what else we can see, and this game is a lot of rinse repeat and do what we're doing. I do show a little bit of magic as we go through in the game right near the end, and it's important to learn how to do that, which is through the bar where you've got the 4 characters on the top right hand side, and underneath you've got the magic. So take a chance to practice that when you get some of the early spells, because you need to get better at magic. And for the life of me, I wish I could remember whether you can level up on these characters or not. I don't think you can, but my gut tells me actually maybe you could have been. And there's an apology for this. Remember, this is the first time that I'm playing this game, and this is the first time that I'm playing this game in probably over 25 years. There has been other experiences very similar to this. So on the Amiga, if this appeals to you, there was a range of games to check out called Eye of the Beholder. They took everything that FTL did, put an official Dungeons and Dragons badge on it, because that was part. Eye of the Beholder, I think, was part of the advanced Dungeons and Dragons games, and they made it better. This is a fantastic game. This is a brilliant game. But the later versions of this type of game that came out took everything that was seen on Dungeon Master and, really spiced it up, really added bling with, lots more monsters. There's enough monsters, enough variety of monsters in this game as it is, but they really supercharged everything. I don't know whether Eye of the Beholder came out on the Atari ST. It certainly was an Amiga one, but they did that. But looking more to the future, the only game that I've ever played on the PC that was close to this, and not including, and that's the key, and not including the Dungeon Master version, which I'm sure I've played on the PC, was a game called Legend of Grimrock, and they captured Dungeon Master perfectly. The kind of puzzle that you're seeing right now, where I've got to get both those gates open so I can go through, and we've got these platforms that open and close them at the wrong opportunity here, is the kind of thing that you get as we go further in this game. There's a couple of other things that you're going to see while we do the tutorial, just to get you used to it. And this is not a spoiler for anything, as I've said before, but the reason I'm doing this as a tutorial to take you through, just watch what I play, watch what I'm doing as I work my way through this, and that was effectively a run through both of those, is so you get an idea of what to expect, and then you take everything, and I mean everything, that I've shown you on this playthrough through the first few levels that we have, and you take those and you apply them to the countless levels, and I mean there is a lot of levels as you go through this game, as you explore. This game is an old game. I've already said the age. We know it's from 1987, but the gameplay that this gives you, the fun that this gives you, it absolutely stands the test of time for today. We've got a bit of difficulty here. We've now got 2 monsters that we're fighting, and we're working our way through them, but they're not as easy as they were. The other ones were dead very quickly when I was throwing things. I'm taking chunks out of them, and you see the score of how many points you take, and they're still standing. And then we get lots more shriekers coming towards us. So what I'm doing is throwing food at them. Monsters do move on their own, and they're not moving very fast on these levels. And that little puff of magic, black smoke that you see, is always pleasing, especially on the later stages of the game, where you can have one monster that will just be ripping new holes in you, whatever you do. And if you're not near one of those altars that I've shown you where you put the bones in, it's fight or flight. You've really got to think about what you're doing. But as I said, you've got all kinds of weapons you can throw, and you saw me throw the sword there, and you may have noticed it's got a little bit darker. So we're managing the food, we're managing the water, and you have to manage your torchlight as well. You do not want to be playing this game when it's dark. And if you've picked a characters or a set of characters and you don't know the spell on how to create light, you are going to run in all kinds of difficulty. But look at the atmosphere this is giving you here with the dull darkness that you've got. It really is very pretty, very nice. And I'm playing this game, picking up keys as we go. This isn't hard with what we're doing, with what I'm doing. Everything is in a logical path for you. We're basically just going down not a single route, but a route where, collect the key, do the door, get the stones, do the rocks on the floor, on the platforms, and you go from there. Do not be under any illusions. This changes as the game goes on. The logic is still there because it's not asking you to do anything that you would never ever dream of. But what it does is it takes away the easiness of it. Not everything is in plain sight. Not everything is there for you. There's been at least one thing that I can think of right now that I did not demonstrate on this playthrough. I may not have encountered it, but I absolutely did not demonstrate it on this playthrough. And by the one thing that I've not shown you, what I'm talking about here is basic controls, and this is all about the basic controls and moving. So we take that rock, we throw the rock, it lands on the platform, that door is now open. So that's one way you can deal with a puzzle. But yeah, the basic controls as we move through this game, as I control our 4 heroes that we will see die very slowly at some point, or they die very quickly, but I hope for them it's a slow and painful death. There's just so much more to explore. So this is a portal. You've not seen the portal before, and there's a mummy. You've seen one mummy before, and stupidly I keep clicking on the right hand mouse button, which I've apologised before, which is me not navigating the game as well as I want to do, not being able to hit him with the swords doing no damage, but can throw things at him. And look at this, you can pick up a weapon and you can throw it into the portal. For a game that is so old, for a game that goes back to 1987, that is a really nice touch to allow you to, you know, have objects interact the same way as they do, as you do with the portals. Yeah, the thought and the design that has gone into this. I did a recent video, and it was Frankenstein, and this was a platform game. And in fact, that video, if you're watching these in order, was literally just the other day. Yesterday, I believe it was, and I was talking about the levels, the level of detail that people went into creating these. You know, the thought process, what happened in people's minds for this. This game is no exception. I have no idea who designed these levels, but one, they're a group of madmen and mad women, whoever decided to do it. But secondly, it would have been all too much for one person to have done on their own. You know, there is just so much there, and you get silly little things like that message where it says it talks about nothing. You got it disappearing on the platform. Just a little bit of fun they have with you, and it only appears when I put the torch on the platform, so that which stops the message disappearing. You know, just nice, funny little touches here. We're getting to the end of this. You know, I reckon we've got maybe another 5, 6, 7 minutes left of the video before it is game over. I mentioned earlier about keys being on the ground, hard to see, and where I'm circling there with the mouse, that key was quite hard to see. But look, there's a key on the other side of the door as well. So it's very clear that we've got to get that key, and we're going to use that key to try and get the key on the other side of the door. And what you've just seen there is monsters moving. So that shrieker came from further down. It was out of sight, and stupidly I'm toggling to the wrong menu here, but we do eventually get into the weapons where we're fighting him. So try a war cry, that doesn't seem to do much. Slash in here, nope, no luck there. I'm going to try and remember what the fireball is. So here I am clicking on the spells, and nope, that says it needs a potion. So I've randomly clicked on a potion spell by pure luck, and that was no good. And then I click on the light button there. So that was a little hint that I gave you, where I do show you how to do the light spell. What I was looking for, and I couldn't remember how to do it because I haven't found the scroll yet, was the fireball spell. And there is a fireball spell which is very useful, and that would have probably helped me out there. I mentioned that there's a weapon that I also show, another throwing weapon, and I think it's about here in the game that we find it on the floor. Can't remember, so maybe not. No, maybe it wasn't there. I'm just moving around randomly here, running into walls because you saw the little red flash. But we're going to go through that door now. We have got a key, and see what else awaits us. Remember, any characters that die at this point, you know, is going to be game over for them. I will not be looking to resurrect them, and we are nowhere near through the first level. Yeah, there is still a lot of first level to play. I went and had a look at the map of the first level, because I say it's been years and years since I've played this, and I'm mucking about the spells here stupidly when I should be doing other stuff. And we've lost FUD, so FUD is going to remain dead at this point. So I'm moving a character to the front, so I've at least got 2 characters to attack this guy. But yeah, I'm mucking about with the spells trying to do something which I shouldn't be, so I'm now down to 2 lives. But I looked at the map of this when I was finished, and it was like, bloody hell, you know, there was still so much to see, so much to do, and we are not even off level 1 of a huge game. Important thing about the objects here, I'm going to pick up a few objects like the bones and everything else, and watch what happens when I throw them. So we pick him up and we throw, and he goes to the back. So every square holds objects, but you know, you have effectively within each square a 4x4 square of where you can pile objects, and they do fall in a natural order here. So what I was doing at that point was moving the bones to try and get another weapon to power up my characters so I can fight. But you know, I'm swinging around. You've seen the monsters move on their own then, and they are moving slow as well, and this is not the full speed of them. As I say, only an only level. On the left of the screen, and you've seen this pop up through the video, is the chart for the spells, and that is the kind of guide, the potions that you need in terms of what some of the things mean. So you start off with power, and then you've got elements and everything else like that, and that enables you to be the magician that you want to be. And there's a mage and there's a priest, and I think they can do slightly different spells from each other, if I remember. As I'm a little bit woolly on this because it's been a long time since I played it, but I was doing all of this, everything you see live, because it's being recorded obviously, but with no hint sheet, no cheat sheet or anything, because I wanted to show you what the tutorial was like and what you would experience for the first time. But this game has got hours upon hours upon hours of gameplay. If you were a fan of Dungeons and Dragons, you know, this game is for you. So we've picked up that scroll, and we're going to look at the scroll and look carefully at what it says. It tells you about creating a potion into a flask, so we're just going to put that in the inventory, and we're going to pick up a flask in a moment. I think that was a piece of chicken, so we can just put that in the inventory, and we're going to go for a flask. You put the flask in the left hand, and I say this is what's your tutorial, and I do what it told me to do on that spell, and it was a meaningless spell, so I'm going to try again, clicking on the right symbols for this, and it takes a little while to do. I need to go to sleep to increase my magic spell, which is on my magic ability, which is the right hand bar, because it was too low. Click on wake up. If a monster appeared, it would wake me up automatically. And we're going to try again, and look at that. The flask has now got a Vi potion, and you can see it's a potion, and you can drink that by holding it over the mouth, should you wish to. I could talk about potions all day in this damn game, but I'm not going to. This is for you to find out. This is you to explore, and we are getting, as I say, near the end of the video here. You know, we've got 2 characters left, and this is the beginning level where the monsters are all very easy. You see things like you've not seen before, like that little green button to push on the wall. You can guess what it probably does, but sometimes you're not going to know. Sometimes it's going to be, what in hell do I do with this? Everywhere you turn, there seems to be new passages to do. You know, levers that appear on the wall here. Do I want to pull that lever? Do I not want to pull that lever? Maybe something nasty is going to happen, like the ground is going to open up underneath me. You know, and you can have this same experience that I had years ago. You can have this brilliant experience by not looking at spoilers. Don't look at spoilers. If you manage to complete this game, my challenge to you is play the official sequel, Chaos Strikes Back. That game I never finished. That game was as hard as nails, and it took the level design that you had here and really mixed things up. There were teleports, there were all kinds of things that made it harder, and it's getting harder again now because look, we're running out of light. It took all kinds of things that you thought you knew, and I considered myself, at the time of playing Chaos Strikes Back, an expert on this game. You know, I know I really was not an expert on the game by the time I'd finished this. I got near to finishing it, but absolutely nowhere near the final boss, the final showdown or anything. And, you know, that's one of my regrets. Maybe I will go back and try that again, but before I do, I would absolutely be wanting to take this game, finish this game, and that's one of the weapons that a new weapon that we found, a throwing star here. I'll be wanting to take this game and finish this through the experience. It doesn't matter that I know how it ends. This was great fun to have. This is a long video. You know, I have no script, as you know. I do all of this on the fly because I believe you get the more honest version of me. Not that I'm a dishonest person, but you get the honest version of me with my experiences, and this is how I like to do these. But in making this game, in making this video, the time absolutely flew by. I will be encoding this pretty much straight after when we end in 3-4 minutes time at this point. And if you stayed with me all this time, thank you very much. I'll be encoding it right at the end, and it's going to take quite a few hours to do. So I'm hoping this will be up for 8 o'clock in the morning, because I like to upload them and then schedule the release. But you know, we will see. I'll do my best to do it, but yeah, we'll see how that pans out. You've seen the mummies move on their own again, and this is where the game now starts to get hard, because the mummies, you know, they don't chase you as much as some of the things on the later levels, because we're still on the early level, but you have a group of 3 mummies rather than a single mummy on its own. The shriekers weren't so bad, but these are a little bit more dangerous, and you can see them waiting at the end of that corridor for me, and they've blocked the way, so I have to go past those if I want to carry on down that journey. Anyway, enough of this game. This is Dungeon Master on the Atari ST, recreated on the MiSTer FPGA. If you like the videos that I do and you're enjoying them, please consider a subscription, but only if you think I'm worth it. Another thing I would ask you to do is, if you also enjoy the videos, you know, feel free to follow me on Twitter. I do an announcement of pretty much every new video that I do at that point. I'm struggling to make a little bit more light because it's very dark here, but with Twitter you're going to get an up-to-date feed of the videos, and you know, I do a little bit more interaction in there. My current goal at the moment, and as I said when we hit 200 subscribers again, thank you very much, is I don't care if we do that in 6 months, a year's time. When we hit 1,000 subscribers, I want to be able to do live streams for you at that point, and I think that's a big enough audience to warrant doing this. But this is a hobby of mine. This is a reason to play games, to show you new games, and to introduce you to brilliant classics like this. You know, this game is over 30 years old. You have over 30 years of history, 30 years of games to see that you have never seen, perhaps, and this is one of them, and I think this is worth your time. I'm going to sign out now and let this play out, but thank you for watching, and we'll just watch the death throes of this character. Take care. Goodbye.
Would you like to play again?
Hello there, it's me again. If you're a subscriber to this channel, thank you very much. If you're not a subscriber to this channel, then Zeus here would love you to subscribe. It makes him happy and it makes me happy. And if Zeus is happy, everybody is happy. Thank you very much. Stay safe, take care, goodbye.